Have you ever felt underqualified for the path that you're on? Or maybe those naysayers are loud, or even the voice of self-doubt is even louder. Well, my brother Joel Osteen knows exactly how that feels. Years ago, when he stepped into the leadership at Lakewood, he really didn't feel ready, but he decided he was going to follow his calling anyway. And today he's sharing how he overcame doubt, how he handled criticism, and how he stayed focused and in his lane. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's go into a special interview I had with my brother.
We could just start from the beginning. You were behind the camera. Why don't you take us back to that? Because we've all been at that place where we don't feel qualified to do what we think God's calling us to do.
Absolutely, April. I didn't feel qualified. You said it a while ago. Well, my parents, go way back, my parents started Lakewood in 1959, before we were born. And
way before
we were born, yeah. So they started there. So we grew up, and when we grew up, April, Lakewood was had less than 200 people. It was a small church, and so I went away to college. I made 1 year at Oral Roberts University, but I came back to start the television outreach there at Lakewood, and I felt like I knew that's what I wanted to do. I loved the church, and I loved my parents and my family, and I always wanted to do the production. My dad was very open to all that, and so I came back, and I spent 17 years behind the scenes doing the production, and thought that's what I'd do with my life. And we thought, at least I did, I thought my dad would live to be 100 years old, but 77, he went to be with the Lord. But during those 17 years, my dad here and there would ask me to get up and speak. Joel, I think you'd make a good pastor, but I never had the desire to pastor. And I didn't feel qualified. I always thought, what would I say? And never been to seminary or anything like that. I thought that was odd that he would ask me that. But when a week before my dad died, he asked me to speak for him. I was 36 years old. He called me and he'd asked me to speak, 100 times, and I told him no every time. I didn't have it in me. But he called me this Monday night and asked me to speak for him. 36 years old, and I just knew that I was supposed to do it. And I told him that I would, and it was on a Monday, and that was the most miserable week of my life. I told my dad that I was speaking. I thought, but I just knew I was supposed to do it. Well, I'll make a long story short. Well, I spoke that Sunday, my first time, 36 years old. My dad was, still speaking almost basically every Sunday, but he had to go in the hospital. He was on dialysis and had some complications, so he couldn't be there that Sunday. But I got up and I spoke, 6,000 people there. I don't even know what I said, y'all. I was so nervous and talking so fast. And y'all ought to go listen to some of my old tapes. I talk with such a twang. I say, welcome, and stuff like that. That's what I watched. I wanted to speak English, not Texas English. So my dad went in the hospital. I spoke that Sunday after 36 years. And I thought, I'm going to speak. I told Victoria I'm going to speak this one time. I'm going to make my dad proud, and I'm going to be done with it. Well, I spoke that Sunday, and little did I realize my dad would have a heart attack. Our dad would have a heart attack that next Friday and go to be with the Lord. So I preached on the last Sunday of my father's life, never knowing that he was going to pass. And so after my father died, that first day or two, kind of in a fog, but I felt that same feeling on the inside that I was supposed to step up and pastor the church. I don't know how to explain it. I just knew that I was supposed to do it. And it didn't make sense, April, when we talked about it, it didn't make sense in my mind because I never preached but that one time. I'd never been to seminary. I didn't have a big personality like my father, but I just, there's some things where on the inside you're supposed to do it. I took that step of faith, and we never dreamed the church would grow. We thought if we could just maintain what my parents had built, we'd be doing good. But, it's part of the message that we all have is that God's dream for your life is bigger than your own. You don't know where God can take you if you just stay faithful and you just, keep in first place. So never dreaming that we would be here today. And so we've just seen the faithfulness of God. I know April and I and Lisa would tell you the same things. I'm reaping a lot of the seeds that my parents have sown. 40 years of sowing into people and being faithful and loving people. I have people stop me all the time and tell me, your dad did this for me. Your mother came to my grandmother's funeral. Your mother came to the hospital. But it's neat to have to build off of what was before you. And, maybe you have something like that in your life, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you weren't raised in that kind of environment. But you know what? You could be the one to start it. We can leave our family better than we were before. But I never dreamed we'd be here. Never dreamed the church would grow. But it's easy for me to give God the credit because I know, you know what? I didn't feel qualified. I still hadn't been to seminary. But I'll tell you this. I'm not like a politician. This one answer to a long question, a long answer. But I'll tell you those times, April. Never ministering before. There, I would get up and speak, and I knew I was supposed to do it, but it didn't mean it was easy. And there would be I'd get through on a Sunday morning, those first month or 2 or 3, and the minute I got through with the Sunday morning message, I'd be, happy for like 5 minutes. Then the next thought would be, what are you going to preach next week? I didn't know how to put together a message or anything, but I learned this. You have to talk to yourself and not let yourself talk to you. Or not let your thoughts override. Because you know what thoughts told me? You're not qualified. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're too young. You're not dynamic like your father. You don't have that big personality. Those thoughts, you can talk yourself out of your dreams, or you can talk yourself into your dreams. Right. I have to just go and look in the mirror and say, Joel, you are strong in the Lord. You can do all things through Christ. You've been raised up for such a time as this. And, I have to talk myself what God said over me so I could keep moving forward. And, as you do it, it got easier, but anyway, talk yourself into your dreams. Don't talk yourself out of your dreams.
That's good.
There was 2 older ladies that you overheard say something, and what could have brought you down actually fueled you into your future. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was like the first or second, probably 3rd or 4th week after my father had passed. So I already don't know what I'm doing, and do people like me? Do they not like me? What am I supposed to be? So it's a Sunday morning, and I just got through ministering, and I was walking out the front lobby, and there were 2 older ladies in front of me, and one of them said, he's not as good as his father. And the other one said, what was it? He said, I don't think the church is going to make it. And that was like the 2 worst things I could ever hear. And you have to make that decision. Am I going to believe am I going to become who other people say I am, or am I going to become who God says I am? So, for about 10 seconds, that really depressed me, but I let it go in one ear and out the other. I thought to myself, you know what? You don't know me. You didn't call me. You didn't anoint me. You didn't choose me. I say it respectfully, but you know what? I don't need your approval. And so I think these are tests that we all have to pass to not get talked out of it. And you know how the enemy will do. He'll put people at the right place at the right time, and it's just I don't know. It did. It fired me up to say. I guess I already said it. You guys don't determine my destiny.
Amen.
And I want to say, nanny, nanny, boo boo. Here I am.
I don't know if you remember, but in the hospital room when Daddy passed away, not to make this morbid or anything, but we had another incident like that. The news people 6 minutes after Daddy died announced his death in Houston. And then they said this, statistics shows that if a son or daughter takes over the church, it will more than likely fail. 6 minutes. So there's always going to be people against you. You just got to know that God's for you. Don't be against yourself.
I hope this story reminds you that feeling underqualified doesn't mean you're not called. It simply means you got to keep showing up. You got to keep trusting the process and stay focused on your purpose. Stay in your lane. And if you like this video, I would love for you to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. We're going to give you more stories like this, and just here to encourage your heart and give you hope every single week. Thanks for watching today, and until next time, have an amazing day.